Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a very, very special episode of the Mandalorian Wars. I am joined only by the narrator, the GM. Is the narrator your official title?
Narrator is the official. No, wait, no shit. It's GM in this game.
Okay.
So it is the official title is Game Master.
Is narrator the title in Harry Potter? Is that why that's?
Yeah, that's why it's stated that way. But I can anyway. But yeah, GM is the official title in Star Wars, Final Fantasy Flight games.
I just want to mention. Oh no, go ahead. No, finish your thing.
I was just correcting myself. It's Fantasy Flight Games. That's the name of the company that produces these 3 Star Wars games. This and the other 2 that you haven't played yet. But anyway, that's just the term you use to because there's not any word to classify all 3 books. So I just call them Fantasy Flight RPGs. Anyway, so what were you going to say?
I was just going to mention that we usually when I do the RPG, I have a push-to-talk system both on Discord and on the OBS recording, which means that the quality tends to actually be quite good for an impromptu recording, because I get to choose when I talk to you guys. Today I've decided to just leave it off for a lot of reasons, mainly simplicity, and when we're doing a podcast thing, having to push the button is a little bit of an issue. For Marshall, it's going to be fine because we have a sensitivity gauge on Discord, but for you guys, you're just going to be hearing everything, and I have some background noise that I'd like to apologize for, but hopefully it should be okay. And why don't we tell everyone why we're doing this and what this is? Or do you not 100% know?
That's a really cool setup you have, by the way. I haven't heard about that yet, so that sounds awesome.
Well, the push to, it's just, I mean, there's a lot of things to it, but that particular part is just, I have Discord set, I have OBS set to push to talk.
Yeah, no, I just have never thought about doing that. Mainly because I don't have much background noise, so it's not really a problem. But anyway.
It's only something I would consider for an RPG or something where I'm already using a push to talk. So, my WoW recordings are the same, because I'm already push to talking to talk to my guildies. So, but in a Let's Play, I wouldn't do it because it's just hassle for no real gain. And same in a podcast. We're just shooting shit, you know?
Yeah. I wouldn't do it because I would want to. I would want to say say shit about them while they couldn't hear me. You know, I'd be like. But anyway, so yeah, what we're doing here is this is kind of like a way to fill in a gap, because unfortunately there was a major a technical difficulty when we were recording the last episode 4, Unrequited Love. Which is really unfortunate because it was a really fun episode.
Really
the players had a blast, and it was a really good
watchable episode.
Yeah, it would have been, which is really sad.
It is
because I think the episode before it, while it was fun for the players, was probably not as fun for viewers, because it was a lot of just talking with masters, and it could go on for a while.
This one was pretty. We'll talk about it a bit more later, but it was a very self-contained adventure, and there was a good story behind it.
So, would you like to go further into why there was a technical difficulty?
I would,
because I'm not entirely privy. That's
exactly what I was going to do. So, nice segue. I'm not used to the professionalism on a podcast-style show. So during...
What are you talking about? I'm always the one with you. Who are you used to being with?
Myself.
Oh, okay.
So, the reason why the last episode failed recording, it's a long story. I'm going to actually start with a brief... Over the last couple months, actually, the cord of my Blue Yeti has been bent. But I've just, bent it back into shape and be like, it's gonna be fine. I'm
surprised you didn't duct tape it.
Because when I bent it back into shape, it looked normal. It's just every now and then it would get bent out of shape.
Yeah.
So during the recording, I got particularly excited during a really key roll, and I guess bumped the mic or something, and part of the cord, the non-metallic part of the end of the cord, fell to the floor, and I looked at it as like, my microphone cord has fallen out before, I'll just reattach it, before I realized that the metallic part, the actual mini USB connector, was still in the slot of the Blue Yeti. And what I had in my hands was the 3 pins of the cord, and I didn't have a fully completed cord on me. and I tried to plug it back. This was a stupid idea. I tried to stick the pins into the metallic bit, and I don't know if it caused
what I would have done.
I don't know if it caused a short or something, but like my keyboard freaked out, my mouse freaked out, all of my USB devices just would not work from that point forward, which is why I couldn't type to you guys what was going on, and I couldn't stop the recording, which would have been great because it means it would have finished. But my mouse and my keyboard they just weren't working. I tried unplugging them. I tried replugging in the USB hub I had. I tried everything that I possibly could without having an interface device, because of course, with most computer problems, having an interface device is incredibly useful because you could do something, and not having like keyboard on my mouse meant that I couldn't think of a solution except for like, oh, I'm gonna leave it a day, and then you guys would have been totally in the dark. So I thought, better than doing that, I'm just gonna restart the PC, and that's what I did, and it all got back online. I started talking to you guys, but unfortunately, and I ordered a new cord for my Blue Yeti, and it came within I think 20 hours. So I'm on a Sunday. So Amazon Prime. Big
so Amazon deserves to be the overlords of us, which they are becoming.
If we are getting an overlord, Amazon are my pick. It's Twitch, free Twitch sub every month for me, and 1-day delivery on like everything, and a decent Netflix competitor. I'll take it. So yeah. Anyway. We lost the recording though, which really sucks. Also, I didn't want to record the last bit, mainly because that would have been weird, and I didn't have a mic, so it wasn't great viewing at the end there. We did wrap up the session though, which was great, and we're here today to kind of impromptu recap what happened, if anybody's watching for the story, and have a video to go out on Wednesday, and just for a bit of fun, really.
Yeah, it's good catharsis.
Yeah, sure.
So, yeah, when the part opens up, it is basically the players. Did you guys calculate a astrogation check at the beginning of the session? Right
at the very beginning of the session, yeah.
Yeah. And of course, Ben failed horribly.
No, it wasn't horribly. He failed with a completely cancel out. It was a complete cancellation.
Oh, that's right. So
I might try and show the Discord and try and go through the rolls. I think that's a good idea.
Sure, yeah, if we can go all the way back there.
Yeah, well, you can. I think it's a full archive.
Oh my god, that's amazing. I love Discord.
Discord is great. Oh, that's what I need to do to get Discord to show. I need to put it on my other screen, and I need to full screen it. That's going to be a pain in the ass, though.
Last Saturday at... probably start at 12.
Okay, I'm going to switch back to the podcast picture while I sort this out for you guys. You can feel free to continue if you want, or are you getting to the dice rolls as well?
I was going to the dice rolls as well, so I can look at what you're looking at.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, I think I found the one... Well...
It'd be right after the force rolls.
Okay, well then, if we're talking about that, then it wasn't a complete cancel out. He got a failure and 3 advantage.
That makes sense.
If that is the one we're talking about. I feel like a lot of these, we won't remember what some of these rolls would be for. We're like, I think that was for scratching his ass. I don't know. Anyway, but yeah, the first roll. Oh, I remember what the 3 advantage. Wait, no, you.
My force roll after that
Ben
was
just
for force.
Randomly rolled.
No. My force roll after Ben's is for my 4C force power. If you look up, I made an actual... My destiny roll was 1 dark side point.
That's right. Okay. Yeah. So you guys were aboard the ship. I gave you some time to do... Okay. Wait. I'm so fucking...
Okay,
anyway.
We'll get to that force thing later, because I know what it is. But that 1 failure, 3 advantage is his astrogation check.
That is his... Okay, yeah. Good to know. So anyway, so he did his astrogation check, and he unfortunately failed. I believe the 3 advantage ended up giving him... Was that what allowed you to... No, that wasn't what allowed you to look at it. I don't know what the 3 advantage did exactly. Maybe I forgot to use it, but anyway.
You said you had it in your mind, because you don't tell us with astrogation checks till we get there what anything does.
Yeah, it's true. I might have forgotten it for all I know. But anyway, as a result, it's okay. If the party died and I forgot it, that would be bad. But I'd be like, hey guys, I got awkward news. I probably shouldn't have killed all of you. No, anyway. But the ship ended up coming out of hyperspace right next to a huge asteroid, and right in front of one. But what was cool is that Putty wanted to sort of look ahead, right? You tried to use a perception check to see what was going on, and you ended up seeing. Or was that part of the 4C check?
No, the 4C check was something else. You're skipping that for now,
okay.
I guess. But this check right here,
I'm sorry.
this one proficiency, one ability, one difficulty was a perception check because Xiao was suspicious of Ita's astrogation and general piloting after the last landing and wanted to kind of look and see if she could figure out if everything was going well.
It was actually a really good idea because, that was a really good check because you were able to see the asteroid at the very edge of the ship's view as you were coming out of hyperspace, probably like 2 seconds before you actually were about to hit it. So you were able to yell at not Xiao, you were able to yell at Ita, tell him to pull up, and he ended up. That's right, and I gave him 2 boost die as a result of you yelling. That's what all the dice have canceled out from. And so he rolled that big roll down there with 2 boost die, but because his proficiency die came up completely blank, the ship ended up grinding against the bottom or the top of the asteroid, the bottom of the ship, and it completely wrecked the ship. The ship has a threshold of 15, a hull threshold of 15, and it brought it down to 2, a hull threshold of so it brought it up to 13 out of 15. So it was very close to the ship to just being completely unusable and like dead in the middle of space. But I decided to be a little brutal if I did that this early in the campaign. I mean, it's not that early. We're getting into things, but I feel like that's the type of thing to do a little later. So the ship ended up landing, but like basically on fire. You want to go back to the 4C and give your own? I'll let you talk about your own stuff since you probably have a better view on what happened.
Sure, so what that 4C is I decided, I had only just learned the 4C force power episode before, and obviously this type of mission is always something that I wouldn't mind getting a kind of a good head start on, and I can see up to a day in my future with the 4C force power, and I'd have to spend, the way it's worded is you spend a force point to gain the way it's worded is you spend force points to gain vague hints up to a day in your future. And we decided, I think, between us, me and Marshall, to go for it's 1 force point that you spend per hint. And I ended up rolling. I'm doing some editing magic a moment, but I ended up rolling 2 light side force points, and I spent them both.
Yeah, and it ended up being really useful. One of the points was the really useful one was she saw herself talking to the Lord Fabian, the guy who sort of called for the party, about a gang called the Showrack Gang. And if she didn't get that hint, the only other way to learn about the Showrack Gang is to basically interrogate the fuck out of that guy. You have to ask him a lot of different questions, and eventually he'll be like, "Oh, well, there's a gang in town. You might want to talk to them." Stop
playing with something, Marshall.
Sorry, I just realized I'm on mic.
So
what have you been?
I have from Xiao's dodgy dossier, I have the 2 hints written, I think, basically word for word. So
this is a very useful dossier.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't save some of the end stuff, so it's not that useful, but it was useful at the time. It was useful at the time, though. The hints were, you find yourself walking around the university campus, you are talking to various people, including professors and a student or 2. And then the second hint was you see yourself asking a man about something called the Showrack Gang.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so the other one, so they were both basically, when I was thinking about what I wanted to do to clues, I think obviously when you're giving clues to players, you don't want to give it away so much that the quest would no longer be fun. Like, you wouldn't want to show the murderer. So I tried to come up with things that would just help
Unless
them
you're the
along.
First episode of Phoenix Wright, the very first case in Phoenix Wright.
There you go. That's true. But yeah, you want to give them slight hints, and I thought those were good ones that would push them in the right direction. And they ended up taking both of them. They went to the university, and they asked about the Showrack Gang. And the Showrack Gang is
prophecy, because I immediately said, "What do you know about the Showrack Gang?"
Yeah. As soon as Xiao walked up, she was like, like, yo, bitch, tell me about the show rat gang. He's like, whoa, don't you want to know about my daughter?
No, bitch, show rat gang.
And it was pretty great. But yeah, I think it would have been really weird is if you denied the prophecies. You were like, I refuse. You know, like
I mean, that would have been fun from a putty perspective, but obviously Xiao is so force trustworthy. And
I think the party would have been a little bit pissed. Like, be like, we know the show rat gang is important, and you're like, no, fuck you. Okay, anyway, but yeah, so that was a lot of fun. I think the other party members just did some general training.
I also did some training.
Oh yeah. What did you train?
I think me and Ita sparred, which gave him lightsaber and me Makashi.
That's right. And I think Merkava did force. He meditated. He
wanted really badly to get some. I think it was sage points.
Yeah. Because what he said is, I'm just going to meditate, and I was like, okay, discipline, and he's like, what?
Well, it was funny because you said, "Oh, I get you," and he was like, "Sagey stuff," and you're like, "I get it, sagey stuff, discipline."
Yeah, that's true. He kind of hit me over the head with it, but
I mean, I also did. I was like,
you did. You were like, I don't want to learn about lightsabers per se. I
want to spar, not even really caring about my lightsaber. I just want to focus on my body position, in the Makashi style.
Yeah, and like, you know how there's the Makashi style? It was pretty obvious, but.
It was cool because that decision from my perspective was made like mid-session, because originally on my progression tree I had my the dedication point from advisor before Makashi Duelist, and I realized just before that training, like the ability just before dedication is nobody's fool for advisor, which removes like a disadvantage or setback die on certain checks that never have come up so far, and the ability just before dedication on Makashi Duelist lets you spend a destiny point to recover strain equal to your presence. And I was like, clearly I should be going for the Makashi Duelist one first. Yeah. And so I made that switch.
Certainly. I mean, that's one part about the talent trees and the skills, is that there's so many of them that it's very hard. It's one of the challenges of this game. And really any RPG. It's not unique to this, but I think this as well. It's a challenge of the GM to try to present as much of a variety of challenges as I can, so that no one feels like the goal is so that no one feels like they've wasted points in this thing. Like if someone spent a bunch of
survival.
Sure. Sorry. If you spent a lot of points into survival, and you never felt like there were survival checks in the entire campaign, then I would have failed my job.
Yeah.
But it's one of those things where that's one of my goals, is at the end of this campaign for there to have been at least a couple checks of everything.
Oh, don't worry. As soon as we get to a planet where it's appropriate, I'm picking flowers.
Oh God. Oh God. Okay.
You getting triggered?
Part. Yeah. I'm having Vietnam flashbacks. Yeah. Anyway, so let's get back to it. So after you guys crash landed, and everyone piled out of the half burning ship, after all of you guys screamed and hugged a lot, you were greeted by Lord Fabian, who you can probably scroll down to his picture in the Discord, Putty, if you want to show the audience what Lord Fabian looks like. I kind of picked this picture to make him look a little bit evil, right? Like I wanted there to be suspicion.
He kind of looks like an overseer.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, he's got that kind of outfit.
Yeah.
I really like this picture. It's a very good picture for sort of like a governor. But he was the one who it's his basically the reason they were dispatched here. Although you probably know this if you listen to the end of last part, because the Jedi Masters told them this at the end of the last part, which was on camera. He dispatched them here because his daughter. What? Wasn't it?
It was.
Okay. He brought them here because his daughter is missing and he doesn't know where it is, and he sort of doesn't trust his own security forces. It's not really specified, and this is one of the weaknesses, I think. None of you guys brought it up, but I think one of the weaknesses of the design of this part is I was having trouble coming up with convincing reasons for why his security forces hadn't done the job that you guys were doing. And at the end of the day, the reason I came up with is just that they're shitty at their jobs. They've never really investigated murders. They're there to keep the rich people safe, but they're not into forensics. They're not good at questioning people or interrogating people. And so,
I mean, towards the end, when Ita was asking for a warrant, I think it was very blindingly obvious that the culture isn't particularly policey on that planet. You know what I mean?
Yeah. He was like, what's a warrant? He just didn't even know what it was. I don't know if he didn't know what it was, but it seemed like a stupid question to Lord Fabian for him to ask. Especially when you guys had already, like, broken into, like, at least one place without a warrant.
I'm gonna see, you continue to set the kind of scene like you're doing, and I'm gonna see if I can get Ben on towards the end of this discussion, just because I think I'm gonna have some negative stuff to say about him, and I'd rather he be here for that.
Oh, fuck! Okay.
I don't like to say things behind people's back, where they can't
I know what
themselves.
you're talking about now. Okay. For a second there, I was like, what are you gonna say about him? But no, I remember.
He's
now.
a dick! No, I'll just...
Fuck! No, yeah. So, yeah, you guys met with Lord Fabian, and then they questioned him. They questioned him on all sorts of things, a variety of questions. First thing was the Shorak gang, and then they asked him about a little bit about Lufidlia, and they found out that Lufidlia has basically just has two very good friends, not really any other friends she has, and they found out that Lufidlia goes to school in town, goes to the university. I don't think there was much else. Oh, they also found out that Lufidlia hangs out at a local bar, which is on the sort of rough side of town, called the Bangled Banner.
Don't you mean diner?
Diner, cantina, a lot of terms were used to describe that place in the session. But yeah, Xiao kept calling it a diner. I think Xiao imagines herself in like an Americana diner with like a milkshake and like 50s music playing.
Oh yeah. Your camera is still on in the Roll20, bro. I'm not even joking.
Because I don't turn it off. It just is automatically on when I'm in.
That's fucking creepy.
Well, it's face down. It's not like you can see me.
I can't see you, but I can see things, and you never know when you're gonna like hit the camera, and you don't know what's going on. Anyway.
Okay. Anyway.
So the reason why I've been like looking, the reason why I went into the Roll20 is I wanted to figure out what that check was, because I know what it was generally about. It was about the Shorak gang thought Lord Fabian was corrupt, and Xiao was taking a very where there's smoke there's fire attitude. Can you actually give us? I think that's what it was, or was that the later check?
So you did two. The later one was was the smoke for fire. You were charming him.
Do you remember the earlier one then?
The earlier one, you wanted to see if he was lying about something.
So that was perception.
Yeah, that was a perception check. You were trying to see if he was lying. I don't remember what it was. Probably just in general, because you thought maybe he did something. It was
about leads. It was about leads. That he had no leads.
Oh, right, yeah. And he was basically like, I don't know. and you gained 3 threats, so your character...
no, I didn't in the end. I only gained 1 because I rolled that incorrectly, remember?
Okay. Well, you're right. With your 2 threat, your character ended up believing him that he didn't have any more leads. At least that's what, that's in character, even though Putty may have not believed him. Yeah,
and if that role was, like, treated truthfully, I was ready to whisk the party off on very quickly.
Yeah. And, that was pretty fun. So, fun interrogation. He also gave the party a picture of Lufidlia, which is below that second roll of yours. Once again, just a very adventurous picture, I really like this picture because you have trouble finding Star Wars pictures with a character doing something other than holding a blaster or a lightsaber, and this one is a good example of that. So then you guys, I think immediately after you're done questioning her, decided to go straight to the bar. I can tell because I posted the Bangled Banner picture right below that. So, would you guys like me... Putty, do you think I should read some of the sort of stock descriptions I wrote up for this episode?
I think that's a good idea, yeah.
Right now? Just to give the people at home an idea of what you guys were hearing. Let me see here. So when you guys went to the bar, A dim-lit cantina, the mangled banner carries the stench of its previous clientele as well as its current ones. There are several tables and booths clustered around the room, as well as a bar with several stools. The room seems about half full. The bartender looks over as you enter and calls out, "Pick any seat you like. I'll be with you in a bit." The words of the friendly Ithorian barkeep seem to draw the attention of less friendly folk sitting around the room, whom all look upon you with various degrees of interest, suspicion, and contempt. Behind the bar hangs a long but worn banner, torn and partially burned. You're still able to make out the black symbol on the red background, which looks like a circle surrounded by 4 spiky arrangements on its diagonals. You and your comrades find a booth in the corner of the cantina, allowing a full view of the room. Although that last part I ended up cutting out during the session because I decided, sometimes I'll write out these. To do. Well, yeah, that helped. I knew that you were about to do something crazy, and also sometimes I'll write out these descriptions and I'll take away player agency for a second. And I think, you guys have never complained about it, but you've probably noticed that occasionally I'll be like, the party goes somewhere, and I'll for a second I'll decide what you guys do through these little text boxes. Usually it's not a big choice. It's usually like moving somewhere, sitting down, But it keeps the session moving. And in this case, I was going to do that. I was going to have the party just move into a corner booth and let the bartender come to them eventually. But you immediately, I knew you were going to walk over to the bartender, so I was like, okay, we're cutting that.
But before I got to do that, Mr. Ita wanted to see if he recognized the mangled banner.
Yeah, he did, and he failed. He didn't know, but he did know that it was something to do with the Force, I think is what I told him.
Yep.
And it was, and they found out later in the session what it's to do with, and we can get to that eventually. But at the time, he didn't know what it was, and he just was like, okay, well, I guess we don't know. And yeah, then Putty, I want to hear your description of what you did next, because it was the funniest part of the session for me.
So I walked
my
in,
favorite part.
And I just slapped my fist down on the bar. I looked at all the patrons, and I think I didn't actually say anything aside from we're looking for Jermaine, Doolittle, and Madison Suffolk, which I don't.
You did scream it though.
Yeah, I screamed it. Yeah, but I was looking very menacingly across the entire bar. And I asked that question. Did you mention, I forget, did you mention in the little introduction there that Lord Feynman mentioned those two people?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, I mentioned that he talked about her friends. Okay. And her friends were these two people, a boy and a girl. One of them was named Madison Suffolk, the girl. The other one was Jermaine Doolittle, the boy. And I want to ask, did you do this intimidation because I said that people were looking at you suspiciously and you wanted to, prove your strength? Or were you going to do that no matter what?
I was like,
because in the description I say people are looking at you with various degrees of interest, suspicion, and contempt, and I thought maybe after you heard that you were like, oh, well, I'm going to prove these motherfuckers who's the boss.
Yeah, no, it was definitely not I think I maybe had an inkling that I was going to do something like this because of my Zabrak coercion I hadn't used yet, but when I read that description, I was like, this is the perfect place where a fist stomp, music stops, looks around, really, shows who's got the balls, even though she doesn't actually have balls, type of thing. Also, I just realized we actually went to the university before this. We just didn't make any rolls.
Oh shit! You're right. Well, but some of this will be out of sync.
That's a pretty quick one. We just went to the university, talked to her professor. The girl.
And what you found out from the professor that actually, you tell me what you found out.
So Lufidlia was planning to go abroad on an archaeology, or off planet on an archaeology trip, and her father did not approve, and that Lufidlia and Jermaine had left class at the usual time that day.
Yeah, that was together. And Jermaine isn't in the class; he came to meet with her. That was also included. I will say this: you guys didn't speak to. You missed one character at the university. It was implied that,
or a different character.
No,
okay,
no, a different character. It was implied because the Lord Faban talked about two teachers. He talked about the one who reported her missing and the one who was before the one who reported her missing. So you theoretically could have talked to the one who reported her missing about. And that just gives you a little bit extra context. It wasn't important. Obviously, you guys still completed the quest without that. But I just thought that it was. That's why I I really like designing these games in the way I do, because it's fun to see the ways in which the party does some of the things you wanted them to and ignores others, and then does things you didn't even plan for. It's very fun. I think it's more fun for a party to break a game that was well designed than for them to for you not to have a game at all planned, and you're just sort of like coming up with shit, as you know. But anyway, so you guys at the bar, you interrogated the barkeep. You yelled at him, but he didn't like it. It didn't work. He was like, the bar patrons laughed. They were like, who is this city slicker? And I think I might have given you boost if you like held out your lightsaber. That probably would have scared some people, but
she only activated her lightsaber once this session. She was very cautious not to do that.
No, and I think that's a good idea, because as soon as you activate your lightsaber, people are like, shit, goody two-shoes Jedi.
Yeah, multiple times Shao was very angry with Ita for not being more subtle as to their official capacity.
Yeah. It is, not very subtle at all.
I should also mention, before we left the university, that Ita was pretty insistent that Madison Suffolk would probably be, or one of the two, I think, would probably be in the library, and Shao was very insistent that they wouldn't be. And then they went to the bar.
Yeah. That was one of the reasons you guys left the university early, and the neither of them ended up being in the bar. But it wasn't a meaningless trip. One, Xiao found out her new favorite drink. Xiao, over the course of the session, ordered 4 Starshine Surprises. I mean, you'd remember the name.
It's right there in the you put the menu after the intimidation.
Oh yeah, there's the menu. Yeah.
I went for the traditional wine strategy of ordering the second cheapest wine on the menu.
Yeah. Rancor Blood isn't wine though. It's like
no, it's the wine It's the wine strategy. I didn't say that this was wine. I was just saying that, when you go into a fancy restaurant, what you want to do is order the second cheapest wine, because you're not the cheapo, but you're also not spending a lot of money.
Yeah, no, I like it. So, it didn't end up being a wasted trip though, because you talked to the bartender and he gave some information on just the fact that they came in there the day that after they were reported missing by their next teacher. At that time, they weren't missing yet. They were okay, safe and sound in the bar, and just having a good time in there without Madison Suffolk. Jermaine Doolittle and Lou Fidlia were having a good time in the bar. And that's what you found out.
So keep talking.
Okay, yeah. And after that, you guys were like, okay, I'll have another Starshine surprise, and then we're going back to the university because we need to talk to Madison. And I think you went right back there, went to the library, talked to Madison Suffolk, and she was pretty forthcoming. They basically just, I think you guys asked her, if she knew anything about that Lufit they would like to hurt, and then she said that she confirmed that the two of them were dating, that Jermaine Doolittle and Lufidlia Fabian were dating. They've been dating for a little bit, like a month. And she implied that maybe Jermaine was more into it than Lufidlia was. I think
that was a clue. I just realized.
It was a clue. It was.
Do
you know what the clue is supposed to suggest?
What, me now?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I won't say. I shouldn't.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Did you describe the incident at the bar, by the way?
The incident? Oh, I forgot about that. You can tell. Why don't you talk about the incident?
I'd rather you describe it in your words, because I think it's more fitting.
Okay. So the bartender basically said that they had had an incident about the day. He basically, when he was talking about the two being in the bar, he said that he remembered explicitly them being there because just after they left, there was an incident with a customer who got a drink spilled on them, and then they got so angry that they killed 3 people, and he lost most of his business for the rest of the day. He had to clean out. He had to call the security forces, which he admitted that he doesn't like to call them to this part of town because they're viewed as an oppressive force in this part of town, and people might not drink at his bar if they see a bunch of cops outside the bar. or diner, and that's what he said about the incident. So what did you think about the incident?
So I immediately recognized the connection to the Ilum episode,
To the Force Vision.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've just having this conversation reminds me that I should have followed up on it more than I did. I thought we would like figure that out as the story went on, and I wonder, do you think without disrupting the chapter pace, if I could spend maybe 5 or 10 minutes at the start of the next episode, because we're still on the planet, just going and trying to like follow up on that, would that disrupt the chapter pace too much? Do you think?
No. We could probably fit it in. Sure, yeah.
Okay.
But I think it'll be fine. Next part is... I mean, I asked that you don't take too longer than 5 or 10 minutes, because next part is like the ending of the first act of the game. It's a very important part. This campaign is... I now have... When I first designed it, I was sort of going from part to part, but I recently drew out an outline of all the events I want to cover.
That's good.
Like, just... And
does Chris really hate those midweek sessions? He sounded like it.
He probably doesn't like them. No, I don't know.
That's a
which
shame.
I didn't mind it, but hopefully we won't have to go over this time. But yeah, basically this campaign is split into 3 sort of well-defined acts, and this is kind of coming to the end of the first act, which is so next part's really important.
You're playing with
for all you guys. What'd you say, buddy?
You're playing with something again.
I'm sorry. I'll put it really far away from me so I can't.
Put it on the microphone. Sorry, not microphone. The camera, so I can see it next to that spoon.
That's a good idea. Yeah. You're right. Okay. Here you go. It's a pen.
Cool. Excellent. Thank you.
Now you know.
I can see it. Maybe I should set it up so the audience can see it.
That's pretty great. Okay. So anyway.
So the incident, I immediately recognized it, and obviously my character grew quite quiet and reserved when she noticed that connection.
Now, what is your character versus what do you think about this? I mean, like, what does it change your view on the vision you had? What does the vision now mean to you now that you know that it might have actually happened?
My character or me?
Both. Like, what do you think, and then what does your character think?
So for me, the big implication is that vision was a vision of the relatively near future, or a hint. It had a connection to my life in the relatively near future. So that means to me that the visions that everybody else in the party had also had connections to their life in the near future, and I'm interested in discovering that as a person, like a Putty. For Xiao, she was very quick to like compartmentalize that vision, deal with the issue, like with her emotions, and take away the facts from that vision and turn them into emotions. It wasn't about what happened, it was about the anger, it was about the fury, and it was about dealing with that and moving past it. And so bringing that back up was really painful for her, but then she quickly just dealt with those emotions again, moved past those emotions, and
push it down.
It's not so much pushing down. It seems like that, I think, to most people, but it's not pushing down. It's recognizing that they exist and recognizing that they do not control you, and then moving on. You know, that's it.
I like it. It's good. That's good. So you after you pushed them down. No, I'm just kidding. So, after you dealt with that in the bar, which I was really happy you noticed. I would have been really bummed if you hadn't have put that together.
It was really obvious quickly to me. Yeah.
Yeah. Good. So yeah, you guys walked out of the bar, went back to the university. We already talked about what happened there. Talked to Madison Suffolk. After you guys, did you guys go right back to the bar after you left the university, or what did you do after that? I don't remember.
Yeah, we went back to the bar because Madison Suffolk gave us a time for when the class would have ended, and we wanted to know whether they went into the bar before or after class. So
that's right. That's right. And also, Madison gave you an address.
Yeah.
To
Jermaine's.
I almost said Jameson. Jermaine's apartment. And then you guys went to the bar, and the barkeep told you the time, and it was, I think I said like 2:50. I want to say.
I think you're wrong on that. I think it was like just before 2:00.
Oh, okay. So 1:50.
Yeah. Well, that's when they came in. The incident was like half 2, I think, or something.
I remember it was. Oh, okay. Anyway, you guys found that, and then the barkeeper also remembered something. He remembered that he overheard a conversation, which was kind of like me remembering that I've left out information the last time you were interrogating the barkeep. So I was glad he came
It
back.
didn't come across that way, to be fair.
Yeah, good. The barkeep was like, hey, hey, by the way, I remembered something. I jogged my memory. The two of them, I overheard their conversation, and they said that they went to his apartment. They were skipping class, and they decided to go to his apartment, which kind of confirmed what you heard from Madison Suffolk. That Madison Suffolk believed they were skipping class. And then you guys immediately after that went to his apartment. And I think Ben wanted to kick the door down, but you ended up just opening it.
This is where it began.
It's really funny to see what presenting a door to you guys does to some of your psychologies. Like, there's some real nuts and bolts going on around there, especially with Ben. It's like he sees the door and he's like, I gotta cut it open! Doors are meant to be opened, not cut open.
It was almost a compulsion later on. Anyway, we'll get to that.
Yeah, it was pretty great. So anyway, you guys walked in, and I'll describe what his apartment is like. The room is dark and has a stale stench to it. There are various half-finished foodstuffs lying about, and dirty clothes lay unkempt every which way. There's a board hanging up, pinned with recently scrapbooked pictures of Germaine and Lufidlia, usually plastered onto a red heart or with honeyed words accompanying them. There is an active datapad lying on one table and a computer in the corner. So that sort of set up all the main information you needed to know about the room. And you guys immediately walked over to the datapad.
Well,
do you want to read?
Well, do you remember what that first roll from Ben was?
Ooh, good question.
I know what the second one was, but I don't know what the first one was.
Shit if I know.
I suppose that one will be lost to time.
It sounds like it, yeah. Maybe that wasn't when he was in the apartment. Maybe that was when you guys were in the bar. Maybe you tried to do something in the bar.
That's what it was. No, it was a check to see if you could force power move the alcohol out of Xiao's hand.
Oh yeah, that was a weird thing. So yeah, Ita, I guess, was concerned about Xiao's drinking, which I sort of treat drinking as a. I've stopped trying to regulate what food does to people because I think that's boring, and instead I let the players decide what it does to them. So it was up to Xiao whether she was drunk or not. You know, it was up to Putty whether not Xiao. It was up to Putty whether Xiao was drunk or not. I wasn't going to be like, oh, Putty, you have to roleplay Xiao drunk since she's drinking 4.
Yeah, and the impression I tried to give across was that when she was leaving the bar, she was a little tipsy. But by the time she got the apartment, it was pretty much gone because there wasn't.
Yeah, she could hold her liquor. I think this is now canon that Zabraks can hold their liquor. Okay, you know, they have really high metabolism.
Yeah. That's why they're all so skinny. It's totally not that in fantasy everyone looks good. It's just high metabolism.
So would you like to read what was on the datapad?
Yeah, so to whom it may concern, I think it should have been whom, but I'm not sure on that. I have come to a decision from which there is no coming back. My love, Lufidlia, and I have decided to elope away from here. This place is too cruel, too suffocating, and I cannot face to bear it for a second more. Not when we cannot be together. Do not come looking for us, you will not find us.
Okay. So immediately they were like, oh shit. It turns out they eloped.
For sure, this was Xiao's Audi quest complete moment where she was like, well, we're done.
Time to take this home. And there is totally, if you guys decided that was the ending of the quest, I would have been fine with you guys walking to your ship, telling the guy, hey, she's gone. We don't know where to find her, but we know she's with Jermaine Doolittle. They've gone to elope. You could have totally told him that, and he would have been like, well, shit. Okay, well, at least she's not dead. And he would have been like, thanks for helping. And you guys could have gone back to the temple.
Oh, jeez. I think that makes a lot of sense. For Xiao and Putty, the completion of that quest was the finding of either Lufidlia or Lufidlia's body. That was like... it's the case with a lot. I've done one of your find daughter quests before, and had different attitudes towards it. But now it's always we need to locate.
There ain't no body. There ain't no crime.
locate the body or the person and make sure where she is. Just finding a potentially conclusive, this is where she might be, wasn't enough to either Xiao or me.
Yeah.
But it was the end of... I think Xiao in character said it's the end of Phase 1. We bring this back to Fabian and follow some...
Yeah, and now and to Xiao at that point, it was like, okay, now we find Germaine, and we find Lufidlia.
Xiao's first look was like tickets, or... Yeah, tickets was the big thing on Xiao's mind. Are there any tickets?
What was that roll from Ben?
That second roll from Ben was a computer's check, yeah.
Yeah. So Ben walked over to the computer, he hacked it, and he got it open, and it turned out to have a log on it, which was would you like to read the log?
Sure. So today Lufidlia's father yelled at her again. Something about unrealistic dreams. He doesn't want to accept that her dreams may lie outside the realm of politics, but that would mean his political dynasty coming to an end. And now I'm pretty sure if we announce her that we are courting each other, the man will try to separate us. He would just see me as another anthropologist trying to take his daughter away from her. Wouldn't it be nice if we could wake up in the morning together instead of apart?
Okay, so there's a couple things here. One, I'd like to spend just a second here making a little bit fun of Chris, because he read it during the session, and it took him a long time to get through that text.
He nailed anthropologist better than I did, though.
He did. Anthropologist, not anthropologist. But
you know what? Fuck you.
Well, it didn't help that I put it, there's a typo. It's supposed to be if we announce, not announcer. But yeah, that was... The second thing I wanted to say is that there's a little Easter egg here. I don't think anyone caught it, but the last line is a reference to a Beach Boys' Pet Sounds album. Wouldn't it be nice if we could wake up in the morning when the day is new? Anyway, I felt like putting up. So basically the end was song lyrics. But no one found it. And Putty's silence only confirms that it was a stupid idea.
I know the song, but I only know the "Wouldn't it be nice" part. I don't actually know the lyrics after that.
Okay, yeah. So anyway.
So I wouldn't.
Yeah. But it's just an Easter egg. And it's more for me than anyone else. So yeah,
is that what you want to tell yourself?
Yeah.
It's for me.
It was meant for other people until everyone didn't get it.
Clutches it to your chest. It's for me, precious.
So yeah, what was Putty doing after? What was a Putty roll?
That was a perception check. Looking for.
Okay.
He was Shao was very dedicated to there's got to be some tickets lying around somewhere.
and you ended up getting claustrophobic. It was too much, and you left. You're like, it's so dark and dusty. And
and then everyone decided to make a perception check.
Yeah, which I think from now on, I didn't think I would have to do this, but I'm probably going to start enforcing that as a rule that you have to assist. You can't just keep repeating it. Unless
it makes sense to if something's changed.
I don't know if the book. Yeah, exactly. I don't know if the book expressly says you can't do this, but I think it's very much against the spirit of this rule system, of this mechanics system. That it's very much. The book implies that you should use assisted checks. That you shouldn't just everyone do the same check until we've won.
I also think it annoys most players when that happens. I think it's only certain types of players that are like, "Ooh, he's done a check. That was a good idea. I should do it too." You know what I mean?
Yeah. So there are. So yeah, you basically then everyone did it, and Ita was able to find the password of the computer, which he used to unlock it completely. Because on his previous check, he got a lot of threat. It locked down some of the computer's systems, and he was able to unlock the rest of the computer, which opened up.
No. He found the password.
That's why. Yeah, that's what I just said.
Sorry. I thought you said on this attempt. Sorry, the way you phrased that last bit confused me because I didn't listen to the first bit.
Well, anyway, he found the password, which unlocked all of the computer systems, which was L and J forever. Which, to be fair, was similar to a lot of the things you guys guessed was the password. And it basically showed 14 days worth of transaction records. Now, what do you think these transaction records were as far as clues? What do you think this is supposed to signify? Because I'm interested.
Well, I thought the coffee thing was just the man had a coffee problem, or he was maybe nervous.
I had to come up with a lot of purchases, and I was like, okay, well, this guy loves coffee.
Actually, I think it makes sense that he was nervous because the crazy craft is obviously the scrapbooking he was doing. The jewelry was the ring, the engagement ring. General Taxi Co. I assume is just general transport. I didn't look too far into that. Should I have?
Mm-hmm. That's just general transport, yeah.
And then Bangle Banner, they obviously frequent. Grocer Mart, maybe road supplies?
It's a grocery. Okay. Grocery store. Food.
I know what it was. I'm just thinking like maybe that's a lot of credits.
Oh.
It's like half the price of an engagement ring, you know? So he also went to Crown's Coffee, put his credit card in and didn't pay for anything one day. Bought some news. I mean, it's normal. It's just normal. And then the film, I assume that was a date with Fidlia. And then the Bangle Banner, they frequent. Now,
the Bangle Banner, that confirmed that they were there the last when they said they were.
He also paid more on the day where it was just Lufidlia than when it was the three of them, which means he bought her dinner.
There's a lot of thinking going on. Yeah. So it's basically this is supposed to signify a lot of things. It's supposed to, one, confirm that they were definitely dating, right? Or that he was romantically involved with someone because he's buying jewelry and shit. But
it wasn't the engagement ring?
No. It's implied that it's an engagement ring. The thing is, though, we'll maybe get to what it is supposed to also tell at the end. But you were looking for tickets and things.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have any tickets. It doesn't have anything to do with escaping the country.
Oh.
You know, there's nothing here regarding... I mean, I guess you could say, yeah, he bought the things he needs to escape the country at Grocer Mart. But that was... I mean, there's nowhere here does it say anything to do with that you would assume immediately, okay, that has to do with leaving the country.
Also, and so the activity record ending 3 days ago is also probably should have been looked in more. A lot of us were like, oh, I mean, I change cars all the time. He was possibly traveling, stuff like that. But actually, the fact that he was so addicted to coffee and then it just stops probably should have been looked into a bit more.
Yeah, so it was kind of meant to be a signification that maybe what was on the data pad wasn't 100% correct.
Maybe he's dead.
Maybe he might be dead. We'll find out later. So anyway, Merkava had to make a phone call. We were pissed about that. And then,
I posted our leads from the Double D.
The Double D. That's so good. I don't know why Eto's talking in chat so much.
He does that.
It is annoying that, like, it's one thing if we're having a conversation and he wants to say something that would interrupt the flow, but I don't think we were. Like, he could have totally just said that. So yeah, what was this rolled below? What'd you guys do after you left Jermaine's apartment?
So we went to the hideout of the Shorak gang.
Oh, no, I think you went to Lord Fabian first.
Oh, yeah. We went to Lord Fabian, informed him. Actually, we didn't inform him much. We just asked him what he knew about his daughter's love life, didn't know much about it. Told him that she... talked about the trip off planet. Asked him whether she thought she may try to escape or such stuff like that, and then asked if possibly she would have gone with the Shorak gang because she probably would have been under the radar, would have spited him, and he said that was possible, and that's when we went off to the Shorak gang.
Yeah. So you guys after that, went to the Shorak gang. You tried to convince the taxi to take you all the way there, but the taxi guy. And the taxi guy was like, no thanks.
But he did reimburse us in cash on the tab we'd been racking up all day.
Yeah. No, he reimbursed you for the very last trip. I didn't have him give you for all the trips.
6 Advantage is pretty big, man. He probably should have.
Yeah, but he took you the rest of the places there successfully.
Yeah, but he didn't do his job. That's a breach of contract right there.
You didn't sign a contract with him.
No, you don't. Okay, so contract does not require a signature or a written document of any kind.
Interesting. So he breached it. We can cut his hands off now.
Oh, definitely. When you walk into a store and you buy an item, you're signing a contract.
Okay,
not signing a contract, but you're making a contract.
So I'll read the quick description of the Sinsang Speeder Corp. You walk down neglected roads left over from a now dead industrial boom on this planet, occasionally passing a vagabond or shady hoodlum, eventually approaching a large factory building with wrought iron archway which says Sinsang Speeder Corp. There is only one front entrance you can see, guarded by 2 people, armed with blasters and wearing bright green neckerchiefs and armbands. You also see a dark alleyway which seems to be out of sight of the guards. So immediately, Putty was like, hey, let's talk to these guys.
Yeah, I want to notice, though, that I did recognize that there was a dark alleyway that we could have taken some sort of stealth approach on.
Yeah. But you guys decided to take the legitimate route. And obviously you also could have this was the main combat opportunity I put in the session. If the party just decided that they thought these guys were scum and they wanted to assume that offhand, they could have just gunned down everyone. But they decided, I don't think most parties are going to make that decision. And you guys decided to talk it out with them. And you ended up convincing them to take you to their leader, as it were. And they led you through. You saw various items like, what do you call it? A greenhouse that was growing plants. You saw medicine stations, like little lab stations where people were mixing medicines and stuff. And then you went up to the former manager's office of whatever kind of factory this was. Well, it was a speeder factory. You know that because it's what it's called. But whoever used to manage this place, that was being used by the leader of this game, a Mr. I can never remember his damn name, but a Mr. Paul Bantorp. Yeah. And
I called Lord Bantorp.
Yeah, you seem to get along with him pretty well. He basically talked about the fact that his gang is here to look after the community. He believes that the government, that the police force are not here to help the poor, impoverished people of this community, and he's here to work around the law. So it's almost
for
implied
the many,
to be like,
not the few.
Exactly, it's kind of implied to be like an anarchist commune. Like that's what was the implication with the growing of food. Because generally, when you see when you think of growing food for masses, it's like a commune type situation. It's in like an anarchist commune, and that's sort of what this was. But it's also implied that they might have done some shady shit because obviously the government doesn't like them for some reason. It might just be because they're resisting them by feeding the people, but it also could be that they have had scraps with them. Who knows? Who knows?
Maybe they could be the Sith. Maybe they didn't leave the planet. Maybe they're just in a commune now.
We are the Sith.
I mean, that's how Lord Bantorp becomes Darth Banter.
Yeah. Or it's how Darth Banter became
Lord Bantorp.
Lord Bantorp. Yeah.
Oh
after he retreated from the Great Sith War 40 years ago.
So Shao showed appreciation for the organization, but with this check right here, decided to deceive, to make a lie. It's an assisted check. Shao usually has 1 proficiency, 1 ability. Got the extra ability from Ita's ability, and Shao tried to deceive Lord Bantorp into thinking that Germaine was her godson. Went with godson instead of actual son because she's a Zabrak, and just about succeeded using the dark side of the Force.
Yeah, which was really, that's the one where he was completely cancel out, except you use the dark force point. Okay, I see it now. I lost myself in the records. Yeah, so.
I should mention actually that this charm check on the guards earlier, I negated the threat with an advantage from the dark side of the Force.
Yeah, that's right. So you used 2 dark side points that episode.
Yep.
This was pretty interesting. And you guys, which is interesting because I think once you guys start using the Force a lot more, you guys will start using the dark side more and more often.
I think when you used 4 dark side points already, because I think she used 2 during the Ilum episode.
And once you become more reliant on the Force in general, you're just more likely to have to use it, which becomes sort of an interesting feature. You guys walked in. You guys basically decided. What did the Sharak Gangan tell you exactly? I forget. They told you.
Oh, what did Bantorp tell me?
What clues did they give you? Yeah.
He said that he had seen Germaine, or some. I can't remember exactly what they said about Germaine, but I know that he told us that there was a body being dragged to a nearby warehouse.
That's right. They basically I remember. They said that they remember Jermaine. They were like, "Oh, Jermaine, he hangs out with those other rich kids, Lufidlia and the lot."
Yeah.
And he was like, "They come." He sort of implied that he doesn't like them because he said they're rich kids coming here to live the life that they weren't born into, and they're doing it he basically is calling them posers. He's like, fuck them, they're posers, but they're posers who spend money at our cantinas. Yeah. So I don't give a shit. We'll let them as long as they keep spending money. And he talked a little bit about their commune, and you're right. He talked about you basically were like, come on, help us out, man. And he's like, look, I don't know if this has to do with Jermaine, but I saw a body being hauled to a warehouse, and he was like, this is another sort of one that didn't make a ton of sense why he wouldn't have his men look into the warehouse. But he was like, hey, we're just going to look into it. It's I like to think that he thought it wasn't his right to look in the warehouse. Instead, they decided to investigate whose warehouse it was. They found out that it wasn't a gang leader or anyone who was trying to muscle in on their territory. And immediately they just didn't care anymore. Once they found out that it wasn't someone trying to come in on their territory, it was like, well, whatever, it's his right to hide bodies. And so you guys, after that, had the address of the warehouse and the address of the owner of the warehouse.
Yeah.
And you went to the owner first.
Now, one of these next two checks is a deception check on the owner that Jermaine is my godson. But I can't remember which of the two it is. And I don't know what the other one is. So,
I think you convinced him that he was your godson, so it must have been the success, not the failure. And he was like, "Oh, you're his godson. Well, look, I don't know who Jermaine is." Yeah. and you guys were like, "Well, do you have a warehouse?" Oh no, you asked him. Yeah, you said we heard you have a warehouse, and he talked about his warehouse. He said he owns it. He says he kind of wants to get rid of it. He doesn't know what the fuck to do with the giant warehouse, but he offers it for friends to store their shit at, which is what if any college aged, any university aged kid somehow inherited a warehouse, that's probably what they'd use it for. Oh, yeah. They'd be like, okay, anyone who wants to store some shit, I got a huge warehouse. That's what happens to any
storage space who have access to it at that age.
Yeah.
It's mainly your weed, but you know.
So that's what he ended up using for. He said, hey, any friends who want to store stuff there? And then you asked him, has anyone stored something there recently? And he said, yeah, my friend Madison Suffolk used it 3 days ago.
And the penny dropped.
Yeah. And at that point, I think the whole party was like, okay, we know who did it.
But we were worried as to what the body was.
Yeah, so you first went to because it could have been... Who did you think the body was before you found out?
Well, I thought it was probably either Lufidlia or Jermaine, probably edging towards Lufidlia.
Okay, so you thought maybe Lufidlia was dead, yeah. Would have been very bad if both of them were dead. If we're like, oh shit, we're... but yeah, you guys went to the warehouse. You went inside, and I will quickly read the description of the warehouse. It is... the huge warehouse is filled with a dastardly stench, the stench of rotting flesh. The place is mostly empty, with a few industrial machines and crates lying about. Slumped against a crate is the body of Jermaine Doolittle, his corpse riddled with wounds. So yeah, you guys find Jermaine Doolittle. Yeah. You immediately called the security forces, which I liked, and had them like lock down the place. They started coordinating it off and collecting evidence, which I'm sure they're really good at. And you guys decided, okay, enough's enough. We need to find out where we need to confront Madison. And you were given Madison's apartment address by Gabor Nadi, the guy who owns the warehouse. And yeah, then you guys went straight to Madison Suffolk's apartment. Now here's where we get to the part where I think you want to involve Ben in.
Sure. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show, Mr. Ben Ditch.
Hello!
There you go. Who plays Ita.
Very nice of you to remain quiet until your part. That was...
Yeah. I just wanted to hear what was going on.
Okay, good. So, you guys come up to the apartment, and the first thing one of you says, I forget who, is, "Hey, Madison, we want to talk to you. It's very important." And she was like, "Well, I can't. I think she said I'm naked." And you guys were like, "Okay, we'll wait."
Yeah,
and,
me and Merkava were like, "Okay, we'll wait." And at that point, I started to float the idea that Merkava should go around. I think you didn't understand this for a while. You thought I was like getting him to sneak in or look through the window or something, but just go around to make sure she wasn't escaping anywhere, and then I would feel pretty comfortable just waiting for her.
Mm-hmm.
But somebody else had another idea.
I just wanted to get in there.
You did?
Save the girl. She could have been murdered.
Well, if she was already dead, then what's the point of busting in there?
Justice and shit.
Okay. Oh.
The greatest paladin ever. Justice and shit.
Okay. So you guys, so Ita gets a little bit overzealous. He busts open. First, Ita is implying to the group. Ben is implying to the group, out of character, that he wants to go in there. That he's just going to bust the door down. And the other group members are like, "No, you shouldn't do that." Blah blah blah.
At some point, I think we had established a calm where Xiao had said to Madison, "We're going to give you 15 minutes." And that was after a calm period, to the point where Puddy thought that those 15 minutes would have been respected.
And Ben started getting nervous, started getting shaky. And then what did you say? You told something to her before you went in. You said, like, "Fuck you, we know you have..." That's right, you said, "We want to talk to you about Jermaine," right? You said something like that.
That's what Ita said, and then Xiao was like, "Ah..."
So immediately Madison now goes from suspecting that you guys know what she did to knowing you know what she did. And she's now not going to come out. She freaks out. She probably, you guys hear sort of, I described that you heard sort of footsteps and sort of noises coming from inside as soon as you said that. And it was to imply that she was sort of, first she moved a wardrobe up against the door to try to block you guys. And then she then got Lufidlia out of probably like the bathroom or wherever she was keeping her, and then held a knife to her throat to sort of give her a hostage sort of advantage over you guys. And then Ben was like, "Okay, we're coming in," and he took out his lightsaber and he cut through the door and the wardrobe and kicked it in.
As soon as he was looking to do that, Xiao said, "This is your path. This was not a decision we have come to. You have to stand alone," and left and went out to be with Merkava.
And I just want to know what her reaction would be like seeing a lightsaber going through, because I don't think she knew we were Jedi. I'd just be like, "Oh, hey, there's a lightsaber."
Yeah, she was probably freaked out, but you wouldn't have been able to see it because there was a wardrobe in the way. And I mean, she was freaked out no matter what. She was probably more terrified that she's been caught.
I should have used my force power to grab the knife, but I thought I would fail because I fail at everything. So,
well, at this point, Merkava tried to use the force to unlock the window, which is that roll.
No. I told him he couldn't use the force to unlock the window because I think it's a little too OP to be able to use.
Did he just unlock the window?
He did use skullduggery, yeah.
Oh, shit. So wait, considering how this turned out, him at one point just unlocking the window and making some noise is pretty funny.
Yeah, he's just like, "I'm gonna unlock the window." He jimmied it, basically. Because Chris thought, I think in Chris's mind, it made sense since it's a window with a glass sort of see-through thing, that he'd be able to just sort of see through the window pane and unlock it from the other side. But I think that's a little OP to be able to unlock something with the force through an object.
Yeah.
And I think that's
Ben could do it through ice walls meters thick, but I mean, a window is some serious business.
What did Ben do?
He controlled all those mechanisms by himself in the Ilum caves.
Yeah.
I know those are probably force-sensitive mechanisms and stuff.
Well, yeah, no, they're meant to be open. They're meant to be open by Jedi. They were built to be open by Jedi.
It's kind of weird that Merkava couldn't use the force on something that's basically maybe an inch away from his face at any given point. standing from the outside, looking at.
Okay, well, apparently everyone thought it was he should have.
I did. I was like, why can't he? It's like a window.
Like in these type of universes, I'm usually okay with any hand wave as long as you try to make it.
Anyway, so
it was at this moment that Ben knew he fucked up.
Well, yeah, because I was like,
he was just standing there like, I have no tools with which to deal with this problem.
Even though I could have, I should have just gone for the force move, but I figured I would fail the roll, and I figured I'd fail the roll, and then she'd kill the fiddly, and I'd be like, oh well,
yeah, I think that probably would have happened.
Yeah, probably. What was her discipline? If you could go through and look at that.
Her discipline?
Yeah, Madison's discipline, or whatever it would. Whatever I would roll against trying
0.
to...
She doesn't have any discipline. So, you'd roll against her willpower of 3. Oh. Okay, anyway.
I'm gonna roll this.
You're gonna roll what? This doesn't prove anything.
Anyway, at this point...
Prove to me.
Putty, out of character, realized that something about the situation needed to change if this was going to be successful. And so, in a meta way, just decided that Xiao had decided that the life of a human being was more important than teaching.
Than proving a point.
It's not just proving a point, but also teaching Ita that his actions have consequences, which he still hasn't learned, and he needs to learn soon. Probably by losing a hand. So Xiao starts to walk.
Was that a recommendation to the GM?
No, it was a recommendation to Xiao next sparring session. Oops! Oh, I accidentally hit your hand. Oh, is that your lightsaber hand? Oh, I'm sorry. I hope you know how to do the wield.
I'll just go to Merkava's master and try to learn the force way of doing lightsabers.
So Xiao comes around to the front and makes the roll that killed the session, which was a negotiation roll. Marshall,
you mean it killed the session?
Yeah, this was
yeah, because your microphone.
This was the roll about microphone.
You're right. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one.
Roll about Marshall.
How did that happen? Like, did you just move?
You're gonna have to wait till this video comes out because I explained it at the start.
So anyway, you rolled negotiation, you failed, but you had 2 light side points and you spent them both to generate 2 successes, which was enough for you to succeed, which was really clutch. That was an interesting roll. It implied that you wouldn't have been able. It basically implied that you wouldn't have been able to save this. That you wouldn't have been able to talk Madison down without the Force. You used the Force to influence.
That's just facts. Yeah.
Yeah. That happened.
Anyway, so yeah, you walk out and no one walked out. You fell out your cord, and we spent like 10 minutes, 20 minutes figuring that shit out, and then
we played with text to speech for a while.
Okay, and that was the Jesus. There's a lot I have to scroll down through. Okay, yeah. Anyway, so after we were done hipping and fucking bees, we got back to it, and Xiao basically went to talk to Madison, and you said, "Hey, you can either run or you can come with us." And you had heat rash.
I did. I still have heat rash. It's gone down a bit now.
Jesus. What was that? Is that caused from stress? You said.
Well, I get it this time of year anyway, but because I was stressing out because of the cord, I was obviously hotter, and I was sweating more, and I was rubbing the sweat and the itchy part of my hand, and I realized after I was itching it that heat rash had broken out, and so I don't know whether it was called, but definitely it didn't help that I was sweating more because I was like, "God, plug the USB, plug it back in." Oh no, lugging my computer out from under my desk.
Yeah, so the you guys, so basically, the first thing Lufilia says after she had the gag taken out of her mouth was, "Where is?" Well, first she told you guys that she was, after she went to the Bangled Banner with her boyfriend Jermaine, they walked around a corner and they ended up getting hit in the head. They assume by Madison because she woke up in Madison's apartment the next day, tied up, and she was kept prisoner there until you guys found her. And then she immediately is like, "Where is Jermaine? I want to find I want to talk to him. I want to know if he's. I want to be able to speak with him. I want to know he's okay." And I think
Merkava and I could not handle.
Merkava and you apparently you freaked out. You were like, we can't speak. We're not good at consoling humans. Where I'm a robot. Like you guys,
pretty much.
It was really weird. And then Xiao came over and said, I'm sorry, this sucks, but Jermaine's dead. He said it with a little more eloquence than that, but that's basically the sum of it. And
yeah, that was a good sum up.
And after that, she was really pissed. She was like, "Well, who did it?" And Xiao was like, "I don't know. We're still investigating. we'll never know, really."
And then I was like, if you talk to your father, I'm sure he can tell you. This is a time for family.
Yeah, and she was like, and she's not an idiot. She's like, "Well, I got hit over the head by Madison.
Allegedly.
So I'm guessing." Allegedly.
I feel like I should have done more in this situation as my character, because my whole emotional weakness and strength thing, but...
So she's like, I'm pretty sure that Madison was the one who killed him, and when she accused Madison, she didn't really. She just looked away, and then was like, I'm sorry, it was the things happened, and she started punching her on the ground, started beating her up. You guys pulled her off, and then Putty tried to help Madison out, which I thought she was helping Lufilia, but she's helping Madison, telling her that it's okay.
Yeah, I was like, she'll get over it.
It'll be fine. It'll be fine.
And then they were trying to take fucking Madison to the jail, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking about cutting off her hand or something.
You guys were gonna... What the fuck? Okay. Frontier justice.
Hey, I'm a cruel bastard sometimes.
Okay. So yeah, you guys took her to the
How
jail.
on earth are you a light side paragon?
I have no idea.
He resists the influences of the dark ways of the Force.
I just don't use...
Let's cut off her hand!
But he resisted the urge. He has his...
How long will he resist, Marshall? How long?
We don't know, but it'll probably take a good amount of...
How long until I go chopping off arms willy-nilly?
It'd probably take a lot of conflict just for cutting someone's hand off randomly, though.
Good, because he can't keep getting away with it.
So anyway, you guys then, had Madison be hauled away in handcuffs, and you went to, by the security forces. Once again, they came in, helped out, took some evidence. And then you guys went to, the governor's, villa and talked to him and told him that there was, that basically you told him the whole situation. He was like, well, look, I guess Madison Suffolk can go to jail and not, I don't have to have her murdered or anything.
I said that in private to him, yeah.
You said it in private. That's right. And then he also offered the party a reward, 250 credits per person. And two of you turned it down, Ita and Xiao. And then, Chris's character did not. Chris's character wanted the money, which I don't think would have been necessarily evil on its own to accept the reward, or I don't think it would have been a conflict to accept the reward. What became a conflict was Merkava was ashamed of accepting the reward, and wanted to conceal it from the other characters, and when she did so, she completely fucked up. She scattered the credits everywhere. It was very obvious what she was doing, and she gathered them all up like Gollum.
I thought he tried to steal all of the credits.
Wasn't stealing. He just took all. Yeah, he took all 750 credits.
Oh shit!
Because you guys didn't accept them. I mean, what do you expect?
To be fair, for Xiao, for Putty, I should say, it's not really a big deal because he just hands Xiao credits whenever she wants them. He's like my sugar daddy.
Wait, who?
Merkava. Merkava. Chris is very easily manipulated when it comes to sugar daddy type things.
Well, so is Charles.
I feel like it's not manipulation. He was like, yo, 100 credits for a duel. I'm like, fine, that's just my bread and butter, son.
Okay. So you So yeah, he took all the credits, and he ended up taking conflict because he tried to hide it. He was very he was ashamed of his ways.
And he rolled a despair.
Yeah, he rolled a despair.
Only one triumph and one despair, I think, this session.
And I basically,
I think
what was the triumph?
The triumph was on the perception check to see if the asteroid.
That's right. Yeah. So I ended up using the despair to. He would have taken like 1 or 2 conflict, but I think I made the despair make him take like 4 or 5
or something. Yeah.
Yeah, 5.
He still gained morality.
Yeah. So yeah, he ended up taking a good amount of conflict, but he rolled really well at the end of the session, which kind of in character in roleplay represents that even though he did something horrible or he did something bad,
he still saved the girl's life.
And he was able to meditate on it and move past it.
Meanwhile, Xiao was massive, like definitely should have lost that 1 morality this episode. She was just a bitch.
Bitch! Anyway.
Then we, go ahead.
And then, what's her name was like, yo, what about the apartment, Ita? Because Ita told her.
Oh, yeah. And earlier, Xiao had lied, saying that the message had been erased. But
yeah, so she was like, well, what the fuck? So she's like, okay, I guess I'm gonna go to this apartment, figure out what's up. And Xiao was like, okay, don't go to the apartment. That's just Xiao was like, if you want the truth, go to the jewelry shop. Which I think is, I'm so happy that you said that. And I'll tell you at the end. But that was a really good way to handle that. Then a Sith Lord appears, according to the text. I can only believe that that's an accurate description of what happened in the game. I don't remember what happened, so I assume a Sith Lord appeared.
It was something like we're like leaving and nothing could possibly go wrong or something, and I was like, a Sith Lord appears.
That's right.
Then I tell Lufidlia to either go to Tatooine at a dig site or whatever, or just come to Dantooine with us.
Well, yeah. At first, you said go to the dig site, and she's like, "Yeah, that's in 6 months, though. I mean, I'm gonna have to be here for 6 months, and I don't like." She basically is suffering from depression now, and you were like, "Well, come with us." And she was like, "Okay, maybe." I still haven't decided what she decided.
I really hope she does. That would be awesome.
Xiao was not a fan of that, though. Xiao, you were pretty upset about. Well, I don't know about upset, but Xiao was not a fan of that.
Yeah.
Tell me why, or because I couldn't understand. At this point, all we're hearing from Putty is text, so it's like it's kind of hard to gauge from him what his emotions are or what he's thinking. He's just basically like, I don't like it.
Well, Xiao was in a very touchy place with Ita already, and when she saw him trying to meddle with other people's personal lives, she got very offended by that. And also, he was clearly trying to have a huge influence on her personal life. I don't think he was in any way an authority, because he was still obviously a Padawan, to say, come and train. I feel like that's not at all his authority. And if she does end up going all that way, that's a long way to travel. So for like, nah, you can't train, sorry. And I just generally thought he was giving terrible advice and speaking out of his place.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I was. But at that point, like, she could still come and be, like, a help to people. Like, I don't know.
Oh, so you wanted to be our errand girl? Is that what you want?
No,
why didn't she just stay as the rich kid?
But like, she can find a job she's happy with.
Either way, it wasn't your place.
Move on with her life.
Either way, it was not your place. That was what Xiao thought.
Yeah, I mean, fair.
So she ended up becoming a Sith Lord after that, and
of course, I guessed it.
Yeah, a Sith Lord appears, but it was really just her appearing.
Yeah.
Darth Lufidlia.
That's actually really Darth Lufidlia. That sounds scary. So yeah, you guys, then there was one quick little end cap to the session. So going back to that thing with the banner way ago, Ben failed the check on identifying the banner. And after he did that, Chris was very interested in what the banner meant. He talked to the bartender. He was like, what's the banner? The bartender said, well, it was from, basically my dad bought it when he opened the bar. He wanted the bar to have a name. And he was like, hey, what if I put a banner up? I can call it something to do with a banner. And so he's like, okay, I'll call it the Beggared Banner. It was basically an easy way for his dad to give the bar a memorable name. And then he told him that he got it from a flea market, and he told him what stall and all that. And then Chris, at the end of the session, decided he wanted to find out more about this banner. So he went to the flea market and talked to the woman who is still alive, who sold it to the dad. And she said that she found it when the Sith invaded the planet, and that it is a Sith artifact. It's a symbol of the Sith. And that was sold to him. And the bartender had no idea that it has to do with the Sith. And probably a lot of the people on the planet don't remember what it has to do with. Only the old timers would be like, that's a Sith symbol. So yeah, that's what they found out. And then I think at the end, Chris's character wanted to get a lightsaber attachment that he couldn't afford. He considered stealing it, but he decided he wasn't skillful enough to. I don't think he didn't steal it because he didn't steal it because it was morally wrong to steal it. He didn't steal it because he thought he wouldn't get away with it. I think that's the only reason he didn't steal that lightsaber part. I see Chris going to the dark side, honestly.
This was the check to find something interesting in the market. You found the attachment, which looks like this, and
the attachment diagram. I love it.
And this was the negotiation.
It looks so stupid.
And this was the negotiation check, which neither of us agreed to give him a boost die on. Which was
pretty funny because he was like, I was like, roll, and he's like, wait, first I want to first negotiate for a boost die before I negotiate with this woman, with this dude. Yeah.
And Shao was like, can I just try and charm him instead? Which would have been a way better idea.
Hey, maybe you sell it for cheaper. Yeah, so that is...
Wait, I have a quote here. We're Jedi, and then I post the black lightsaber and say, except Chris.
Clear Sith. And then that was pretty much the end of that session. What's that roll at the end that Ben did?
I think he was fucking around, or he was testing the astrogation check.
Yeah, there's a lot of fuck-ups after that.
No, I was.
Then Chris rolls like 100. Okay, yeah, so everything after that's bullshit. And then you guys rolled conflict at the end.
And I lost one morality, bringing me down to 57.
Yeah, which is great. Shao's remaining a paragon of neutrality.
Out of the 4 sessions, I've got +0, +0, +8, -1.
The +8 was pretty great, though. So,
yeah, sure,
I mean,
sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
I'll take that.
I'll take it!
Also, in terms of Fallout, I decided I was a hero for hire. Because I'm a paragon.
Remember, yeah, I said that you should take on one of the Fallout neutral names, yeah.
I'm going to take away the Discord now, so the stream can not the stream, but the video can no longer see it as we wrap up.
Yeah, so that was pretty much the whole session. We just went through everything that happened pretty much, which I didn't even, when going into this video with you, I didn't know we were going to go this in depth, but it felt fun to do. So yeah, it was great.
I didn't know we were going to go this in depth either, but I feel like we covered it quite well.
I don't think we really missed any major or really even minor events during the. There's one thing I want to talk about. So I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting that you guys talk to. Ben, are you rolling shit? Stop. Okay, so I think it's
such a good roll.
I think it's interesting that you guys assumed that. I think it's implied. Now it's you guys can decide in character based on yourselves, but it's sort of implied, and I might decide I want to imply it more strongly the next time I run this through with a party. It's implied that that the whole eloping thing, running off together, was a forgery on the part of Madison, and that they weren't going to run off together. But
I just thought it was like Jermaine deciding that and not telling.
But Jermaine did buy a ring for her, so it's implied that they were going to get engaged. But he was just going to be like, "Hey, father, like you can like it or not, but we're getting married." Like,
well,
fuck
you. Gotta be so rude. I don't know what humans do.
Isn't that song?
Maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
I had never actually thought of Madison forging it. I thought
when
Jermaine.
Towards the end, I thought maybe that the datapad was a cover-up for her.
Especially
since the door was open, which means she went in there.
And it was a brand new datapad, too.
And notice how Madison was the one who implied Oh, yeah, Jermaine seemed to like her more than he... So it's sort of to imply that Jermaine's crazy, and crazy in love.
I mean, to be fair, the man was a scrapbooker. That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, the scrapbooking was crazy. But yeah, so there was a few little clues there that you maybe could have... Maybe were like, something's up here. But I think I'm so glad you told her to go to the jewelry shop. That's kind of like the happy ending, because if you told her to go to the apartment, she would have been like, oh, wow, okay, he was going to elope with me? He's going to steal me? What the fuck? But since you sent her to the jewelry shop, she now knows, he was going to propose to me. And that's a much more happy ending than he was going to steal me. But yeah, that's I really like this session. What do you guys... I asked you guys at the end of the session what you guys liked and didn't like about it, but you guys can sort of talk about it now since we're talking about it now. What did you guys not like and not like about it?
My one thing about the not like, because I thought the session was really, really good, but the one thing that I noticed was that there was no redeemable combat section in the session.
Yeah.
And what I meant by that was there's no combat opportunity, because there were a lot of combat opportunities, but there wasn't one that I felt was justifiable for morally good characters most of the time.
Yeah.
I mean, basically every opportunity you have can be a combat opportunity if you want it to be, but yeah, nothing was like...
Move closer to the mic, Ita. There you go, there's some authenticity from the session.
Depending on how you think about it, you could just think of every living person who's a blood sack you see as a combat opportunity. I mean,
I could just I could have gone up to the governor and be like, fight me, bro.
Like I did to RNK.
And the governor would have been like, I'm not going to fight you, but I can send my horde of security forces to fight you. But yeah, he's and you thought it was tight. Ita, what did you think about the session?
I liked it.
Okay, you didn't have any problems with it?
No, not really. Again, like Shao said about the combat, but other than that,
I think Chris's problem was that you guys couldn't save Jermaine. That there was no way to save Jermaine's life.
And then you tried to fuck with him by saying, "Oh, there was a way," but we...
and
then we're like, he was dead before we got here.
He was definitely dead for a while, because even when you go in there, you can smell rotting flesh, implying that he's been there for 3 days. But yeah. So in my opinion, I'm not going to change it based on Chris's recommendation, because I think for a murder mystery, you have to have a murder. And I think it gives more weight to the story that one of them died and the other didn't.
If you made it so that Lufidlia couldn't be saved, I would have more of a problem with it. Yeah,
but Lufidlia can be saved and can die depending on how badly you handle that knife situation.
Like I almost did.
If you tried to, for example, tackle her to the ground and failed, she would then kill Lufidlia. Or if you whatever you did that really, if you did it really badly, she might kill Lufidlia. But yeah, overall, this is a good session. You guys got to hear some. I would call this some behind the scenes looks from the GM and from the players.
I want to recommend to everyone who's watching this and is interested in this kind of thing to go and watch as much of Grailbane as is up on Marshall's channel, because that campaign started off with a missing daughter story, which wasn't nowhere near as good. But if you're interested, that's a good place to go.
It was. I would say, yeah. Well, we can talk about that a little bit. Yeah, there was this missing daughter quest is one this is the 4th time I've run this. 4th time. And run a missing daughter quest in general. And I think it's become like a thing I want to perfect. And I think this was the best iteration I've done so far of a missing daughter quest. Because it's solvable to an extent where it didn't divide the party too badly. Obviously there was that little hiccup at the end with Ben, but where the party got a little bit divided.
But you can't account for a Ben.
You can't account for a Ben.
I'm unpredictable.
And I think this was probably the best version of a missing daughter quest I've ever designed. I was really happy with it, and I'm glad you guys liked it. Okay, so I think we're good to go.
Yeah, so I'd like to thank you all for watching this week of the Mandalorian Wars back. Normal schedule, normal time, same Star Wars channel, same Star Wars place. Next week, Wednesday night, for...
when we break a second cord.
Hopefully. The return to
Don't record the first half of the session again.
If Ben can can do an astrogation check, which I severely doubt. We'll see you guys next time.
Yeah.